and welcome to The Insider. I'm Lisa Adams. Welcome to our viewers and our listeners on the radio. Today we're going to focus on two important races in the upcoming election. The race for a new Erie County judge on the Court of Common Pleas bench and the race for county sheriff. These are not debates, but they are conversations with the candidates. So we're going to start with the race for judge. There are two candidates running to fill a seat on the bench left by Judge Elizabeth Kelly, who retired. Both candidates cross-filed back in the primary. Emily Merski won on the Democratic ticket. Jeremy Leitner won on the Republican ticket. So Emily, let's start with you. Tell us a little bit about your legal background.
Sure. Lisa, thank you for having us here today. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to everybody about my qualifications and my experience. My legal background started after I graduated from Penn State Law School, where I came back to Erie and started practicing at the Knox firm. I did litigation with the Knox firm, and then I moved to my current practice, which is with the Vendetti firm, where I do a little bit of everything. And so I do civil, I do family law, I do divorces, custody, things of that nature. I'm also a public defender here in Erie County and in Crawford counties. I work for SafeNet, where I help victims of domestic violence obtain PFAs, and I teach for the Public Defender Association of Pennsylvania. So my background spans a lot of areas of law and covers a lot of things similar to what a judge would see on the bench day after day.
All right, Jeremy, we'll turn to you and tell us a little bit about your legal background.
Hi, and thanks again for having us here tonight. As you said, my name is Jeremy Leitner. I'm running for Common Pleas judge. My background is that I'm a prosecutor at the District Attorney's Office. Since I graduated law school in 2012, came back to Erie, and I've been in public service my entire career. I've done over 20,000 cases approximately, representing the community in each one, making sure that we're safe and that good decisions are made regarding the fates of people who come into our system. Over the course of my career, I've kind of risen up the charts at the DA's office, and now I'm the chief deputy in charge of the trial division. What that means is I'm the one that makes sure we got to win the big cases, the ones that matter for public safety, for our security, the murder of a child, gang shootouts, things like that. I'm the one that gets called in to make sure that we get security. Done over 100 trials and 30 murder cases. I'm in the courtroom every day.
So tell us, Jeremy, what made you decide that you wanted to turn the page and run for judge? Certainly you've told us you've had a lot of criminal cases under your belt.
Yeah, and I think as a prosecutor, you have to go to autopsies, and when you come out of autopsies, you want to get the bad guy. And then those cases where you do get the bad guy, you realize a lot of them are young people that didn't have a big chance in life, that didn't have a lot of opportunities, and you kind of see how they ended up on the path they're on. Being a prosecutor, I realize I'm a very good decision maker. I'm good with setting up plans for people to succeed. I want to get to people that are going to commit crimes before they commit them, especially the kids that don't have a lot going for them, and try to really work in the programming for these types of kids. How do we help them? If a kid throws a rock through a window or shoots a gun, they kind of get on the same probation. I've never understood that. I feel like that sets them up for failure, and I want to do a lot more in that field. I want to do a lot more with OCY, with custody stuff, because I think that's how we can really protect and help our community. I think I'm most experienced, obviously, in any courtroom thing, and so criminal is my expertise, but I'm really excited to try to help kids working in those sorts of fields.
All right, Emily, what brought you to the decision to run? Clearly you do have a widely varied background.
So I've worked in a lot of areas of law that have brought me before not only courts in Erie, Pennsylvania, but also Crawford County, Warren, Venango, Allegheny County. And so I have a wide breadth of experience being before many different judges on the bench. And when you represent clients that come from all walks of life, I've had the privilege to represent indigent clients as well as the everyday clients that come before me in my private practice. You start to learn about the decisions that people make and what drives them to make the decisions that they do. And it gives you an understanding of the community and the needs of the community. And as an attorney, you can help. You're obviously part of the helping process of getting somebody through one of the most difficult situations of their lives. But as a judge, you can do so much more than that. And you can really help people to move forward with their lives while also protecting the safety of the community, or helping a child who's been involved in the OCY process, or a family that's unfortunately divorcing. When you're part of the what happens next process, which is what a judge does, you are able to make an impact on somebody's life and hopefully help them move forward so that they don't come back before the court. Because ultimately that's what we all want. We want safer communities, we want more stable communities, we want children to be happier and healthier. And a judge can have a much greater impact. And so that was what motivated me to want to run.
All right, I'm going to say these next two questions, quick answers on these. Emily, the courts and the county government, all in the county courthouse. Just quickly, what's your understanding of the relationship between the executive branch and the judicial branch here? What should the relationship be between county government and the courts?
Well, there should be just that, just a relationship, where there obviously can be work between the branches of government. They are distinct branches of government. The executive branch has a job that they do, the judicial branch has a job that they do, and neither should necessarily impact the other outside of just having a good working relationship. I think the bench here in Erie County does a very good job at maintaining transparency and independence, as does the executive branch. They obviously have to work together in some form, but at the end of the day, the judge is the person who's responsible for making the decisions and setting them in motion.
Jeremy, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, working in the courthouse, as I've done my whole career, I've seen the executive and the judicial, they work together way more than people realize, not because anyone's trying to, that's just the necessity of the bureaucracy that we live in. And I think we got to make sure that those two branches are comfortable and do a good job working together. They're not going to be influencing each other's decisions, but to get government to work correctly in the courthouse, you have to be on the same page, you have to come into meetings, you have to get along, and I understand that, and I'm ready to do that.
All right, when we come back, we're going to have much more with the judicial candidates, their views on community problems, and if elected, in which court would they most like to serve. We hope you'll stay with us. I'm Lisa Adams. Welcome back to The Insider. We are having a conversation with the candidates for judge seeking an open seat on the Erie County bench. Emily Merski won on the Democratic ticket in the primary, Jeremy Leitner on the Republican ticket. So Jeremy, I'll start with you this time around. You touched on this just a little bit, but what do you see as the biggest issues in our community where being a judge could give you an opportunity to make a difference?
Yeah, and I did touch on it a little bit, but I've seen the same issues because I've been dealing with crime for so long. The issue that really causes a lot of crime is poverty. And I think that is the biggest issue in our community, is that we need to work on not just giving lip service to helping problem solve, but getting down and working in terms of trying to progress people in that situation and give them the best chance to succeed. And when they're struggling to succeed, give them support to make sure that their floor is where it should be in the United States of America. And I think that the court system can play a big role in doing that by making sure when those people who end up coming before the court a lot more than the average person, that they get the help and support they need, that they're not just another case at 9 a.m. They're someone that you're trying to help, a life that you're trying to support, and there's kids there that you're trying to raise their quality of life so they can have the best chance.
Emily, the same question. I mean, again, I know you can't comment on any cases that could come before you, but what do you think the major issues are in the community where solid judges can make an impact?
So I'm really lucky that I have the diversity of experience that I can answer this question a few ways from a few different perspectives. So what we're really good at in terms of Erie County is we're really good at punishing people who commit crimes. Okay, our justice system is set up for punishment and not necessarily great at rehabilitation. Now, we try, but at the end of the day, the follow-through is what's necessary, because punishment is only one part of what needs to happen. There needs to be an all-encompassing view of what brought the person before the court and what we can do to set them up for success going forward. Same goes in family court. I've represented a lot of juveniles who have been separated from their families, parents similarly who have been separated from their children, and there's no one-size-fits-all type of justice. And a lot of times I think the court tries to impart that with the services that we provide. And so there needs to be better follow-through, regardless of what case we're talking about or what type is coming before the court, that's going to help people set up for success, because ultimately we're going to have individuals that come before the court. That's not going to stop. But what we need to do is make sure that they only come through one time and they're set up for success going forward as much as we can give them so that they can be successful and they don't have to come back before the court.
It will be, I think, up to the president judge, maybe in consultation with whoever wins here. But Emily, if you could choose, where would you most like to serve? Because there are different courts. Judge Kelly was primarily in Family and Orphans Court.
So I do have the experience to be put in whatever assignment that the president judge would want to give. I am obviously very experienced in family law matters, I'm experienced in criminal law matters, and I'm experienced in civil law matters. So people have heard me, and anybody who's heard me speak before has heard me say I am ready for whatever assignment is given to me on day one, and that is exactly whatever assignment I would accept, and I'd be ready to go and start off the ground running.
All right, and Jeremy, you have talked about being a prosecutor. If elected, you would need a little bit of a cooling off period, I understand, before you could hear criminal cases, but where would you most like to serve?
Yeah, I think I've kind of pointed to this. I think obviously criminal would be my comfort zone, but I don't think you make as much of a difference in the community. Family and Orphans Court is a great opportunity. Anybody who's saying you're ready to be a judge on day one who's never been a judge, you're not really, that's not correct. We're all doing our best, but we're stepping into unseen lands. When I become a judge, I can take decisions, and I have to make hard decisions all the time. I'm asked by the police at 3 in the morning when a teenager threatens to, shoot a school up. I'm the one that's got to make that decision for our community, and I have to make thousands of decisions for our community a year. I'm very comfortable doing that, and that skill is the most important skill to be a judge.
All right, we're just about out of time. Real quickly, Jeremy, talk about what it's been like campaigning. It's a little bit different for you.
It's been very different. I'm not used to this. I'm just a normal person who's running for office, but it's been awesome meeting people. It's been a little bit wild because we just had a baby on Friday, so I've been enjoying that and trying to campaign at the same time, but I wouldn't trade it for the world. I enjoy the experience.
Emily, same question for you. You certainly have been around political campaigns in your family, so what's it been like to run?
It's such a different perspective when you're the candidate versus being a spouse or being a family member who's been supportive. Being a candidate, you get to interact with people so much, and it has been a real privilege to meet members of the community that I might not otherwise have met. We really, in this campaign, have enjoyed wide bipartisan support. We are out every day knocking on doors, talking to people, going to events, and just really getting amazing feedback. And I'm so blessed and lucky to have that support, and I really hope for that going forward. And of course, everybody needs to get out and vote on or before November 4th, and I respectfully ask for your vote.
All right, thank you so much for both being with us. Best wishes in your campaigns. We're going to focus on the sheriff's race when we come back. I'm Lisa Adams. Welcome back to The Insider. We will now focus on the race for Erie County Sheriff between incumbent Democrat Chris Campanelli, who is seeking a second term, and Republican challenger Jeremy Markham. Welcome to both of you. Sheriff Campanelli, I'm going to start with you. Tell us about your background, what led you to want to be sheriff, and what qualifies you.
Well, first let me say thank you for having us today. To begin, I started my career as a public servant in the United States Marines in 1991. I got out of the Marine Corps in 95. At that point, I started working at the sheriff's office as a per diem deputy, which is the lowest level you could possibly be. At that point, I worked in that position for about the first 2 years. Then I was upgraded to a full-time deputy in the civil division. I worked in that division for about 17 years before being promoted by former Sheriff John Loomis to lieutenant in charge of the court security of the courthouse division. I worked in that capacity for about 2 years, and then I was promoted to captain, which would have been third in command of the office, in charge of the daily operations, and I was in charge of the criminal division. At that point, I ended up running for sheriff, won the race against Mr. Shank, and for the past 4 years, I've been your Erie County Sheriff.
All right, let's turn to the challenger, Jeremy Markham. Tell us about your background, what you're doing now, and what has led you to want to be sheriff.
Thank you. I graduated from the academy in 2002. Got a job with a couple small departments, worked at Allegheny College as their night supervisor for their police department, worked with Wesleyville Police Department and Union City Police Department on the streets, and then was handpicked by Sheriff Merski in 2009 to be an SRO in one of the schools that he was in charge of. From there, I went to Northeast School District where I was an SRO, and also became the corporal in charge of the SRO division, which was about 6 county schools at one time. And at that point, we did have the largest SRO division in the state of Pennsylvania, to the point where other SRO divisions would call, ask advice, seek guidance. Also,
And just so people don't know, SRO is School Resource Officer.
yes, I apologize. School resource officer. There's also SPOs, which would be a school police officer. Also through the sheriff's office, I also served in the civil department in the summertime when school was out, and with the warrant team. I was also a firearms instructor for a brief stint.
So two big, long careers in law enforcement here. Chris, first of all, do you think most people in Erie County really know what the Sheriff's Department does? Who defines that role, and what's the size of your staff?
Sure, the size of our staff, we're at about 38 full-time deputies, 8 full-time clerical staff, my chief deputy and myself. Most people in the community have no idea what the Sheriff's Office really does. And the great thing about that is the Pennsylvania Sheriff's Association has come out with multiple videos to explain exactly that. So feel free to look that up on the Pennsylvania Sheriff's Association website. The gambit of things the Sheriff's Office does is unsurmountable. It's anything from civil process, serving complaints, arrest warrants for the Court of Common Pleas, sheriff sales of real property. I mean, it's a long process, and people really don't get it.
Jeremy, as you have been running and meeting people out in the community, same question. Do you think people understand the role of the County Sheriff's Office and the scope of what they do?
I think the majority of the people in Erie County know there's a sheriff. I don't believe that a lot of them understand everything that the Sheriff's Office does or what they can do. Obviously, when they come into the courthouse, they see them working, doing security details in the courtrooms and here and there, and warrants and stuff like that. I believe there's also room for the Sheriff's Office to be doing a little bit more as far as out in the communities and then out with other law enforcement agencies and in our school districts.
Well, when we come back, we're going to talk about whether there should be reforms in the Sheriff's Department here in Erie County, if it is the right size, and really what problems the county faces that each of you thinks the department can do things to make a difference. We hope you'll stay with us. I'm Lisa Adams. Welcome back. We are talking about the race for Erie County Sheriff with incumbent Democrat Chris Campanelli seeking a second term and Republican challenger Jeremy Markham running. Mr. Campanelli, have you made reforms in the Sheriff's Department under your leadership, and what do you look forward to working on if voters give you a second term?
Sure, that's a great question. I'm glad you asked that. In our first term, we've totally revamped our hiring process. For the past probably 8 years, we were a revolving door. We trained these young men and women, and they would move on to different departments. We changed the entire way we hire. For the first time in 8 years, we've been at full complement. We plan to keep doing that in the future. We've also instituted programs like the LERMS, Law Enforcement Records Management System. It keeps us online with the other offices and other departments, information sharing. We've teamed up with Permitium to be able to do license to carry online. When we just began, at the beginning of this month, being able to do license to carry in a mobile situation, so we can get the other parts of the county where people that have a hard time getting to the courthouse to do things, we can meet them out there and do their license to carries there.
Mr. Markham, do you think there need to be reforms in the County Sheriff's Department, and if elected, what would you want to focus on or change?
Yes, in November, when the voters decide if I'm elected, keep in mind I come from a long line of law enforcement, and working with law enforcement since 2002 and working with the Sheriff's Office 2009, I definitely fell in love with law enforcement and public service. With that being said, there are different things inside that office that need to be settled and changed. It hasn't really been the same. I apologize. Can we do this?
No, we got to keep moving forward here. So basically, any main changes that you want to make?
Politics will be coming out of the Sheriff's Office if I'm elected. There will be no politicians wearing full uniforms making commercials against other politicians. there will be no, whatever the deputies vote, that's their priority. They won't be held at any standard or punishment on their views.
All right, so a little bit of a challenge there. We said this wouldn't be a debate, but Sheriff Campanelli, do you think the department has become too politicized?
It is a political position, but I believe it is the lowest level of political position. As far as Mr. Markham's comments, I couldn't disagree more. I think this office has been in the best place it's been in years. And if you look back to when I announced, if you look at all the deputy sheriffs that came in that day, that shows the level of support and leadership that they're getting, not just under my command, but under my command staff. In the time that I've been in office, the command staff I put in there in these positions right now are the guys that were against me the first time around. So there's no favoritism. And then the bottom line is the people of Erie County don't need somebody that on their first day need on-the-job training. You need somebody with a level of experience that knows how to run an office.
All right, so let's move on. Sheriff Campanelli, what do you think the biggest problems are in the community that the Sheriff's Department can be making a difference about?
A great question. Thank you. My biggest concern, I believe, is the relations between law enforcement and the community. We've all seen what's been going on over the last few months, and I think the biggest thing we need to do is regain that community service back, community policing. I wish I had the manpower to do it, but we do as much as we can when we can.
All right, and your thoughts on that, candidate Markham, what do you think are the biggest problems in the community that you'd like to see the Sheriff's Department help with?
A few of the biggest things that we definitely could use help with in the Sheriff's Office is back building the relationships with other law enforcement agencies. Obviously, I was backed by Lodge 7 of the FOP. There's a reason for that. Also build back the relationships with the county school districts that have been suffering without their SRO programs. They've been forced to go out and find new SPOs and SROs. That relationship needs to be rebuilt for the safety of our communities and the children.
All right, we're just about out of time, so talk a little bit, just really quickly about your campaign, Jeremy, and how you'll be spending the last few days here. And if people want to know more about your campaign, how do they go about finding out?
Sure. Obviously, I'm sure you can tell I'm not a politician. I'm not used to this. The best part about this whole experience is running out, knocking on doors, meeting new people, listening to their concerns and their issues. I actually had the sheriff's posse reach out to me and ask me questions about how they can get to funding and things, and I had to inform. I'm not in office as of yet, but meeting with different people has been fantastic, and talking over things with them. We're just hoping to keep moving forward, and there's a Facebook page, and there's also markhamforsheriff.org that people can reach out.
Great, thank you. And Sheriff, your last thoughts about the campaign and how people, if they're trying to decide, can learn more about your candidacy.
I think one thing we can both agree on is the best part of the campaign is being out in the public and speaking to people that you haven't met before, making new friends. The only thing I would leave the thoughts with is do your homework. Look up both individuals, make your informed decision on do you want someone with experience or not.
All right, well, thank you both for being with us. Again, you can check out these guys on their campaign sites. And we really thank you for joining us, and we ask that you get out and vote on November 4th or vote by mail. If you have ideas for us to explore here on The Insider, you can always email me at ladams@erienewsnow.com and join us next time for The Insider.